All right, let's take a look at labels and how they apply to buttons. And when we do that, I'm going to come back, and this is what we looked at in the previous video. So here you notice that I can click this text, and of course nothing happens. I have to click right in the little round spot in order for the button to work. And this is the code for that, and it's not really much it's not any different because it's the same code. But if I go over to here, to Basic Radio Buttons 2, and I'll reload, down here it's still the same. If I click this text, nothing happens. But if I click the little round buttons, it does. Up here, if I click the little round buttons, things change. But you'll notice that this also is a pointer. And it's convenient sometimes for people, especially those who may have difficulty controlling a mouse, but even for people who have perfect facility controlling a mouse, that's kind of a little target sometimes, and if you're just a little bit off, oh, it's kind of annoying to have to kind of bring it back on target and then click. So it can be helpful if the text associated with the button can also be clicked, like that. How do we do that? Well, we do it using something called a label. So nothing has changed up here. The only thing that has changed is the HTML. So back over here, you notice that we just had this text. We had this stuff here. We had a button. We had this text off to the side, and then we used a break. Well, if we come over here, we have our input, but then you notice that for input, we also have a label. And then we put a break after the label. Now, what about this label? Well, the label has really one important section, one important part. That one important part is its for attribute. That tells you what this is to be a label for. So because this has the same ID as this label will be a label for this input field here. So if we click the label, it's as if we were clicking the input field right here. Or it's really not an input field, is it? It's an input element, but it's a radio button. It's as if we were clicking the radio button. And you can see that here. Well, I guess I ought to go to one that's not already clicked. So I click that, you notice I click the text, and it brings that right down. Now, what really connects it is not how close it is to this or that or anything else. What really makes it work is the for clause here, or not clause, the for attribute, having the same value as the ID of the thing that it's for. So if I were to take this label right here and take it away, and let's just put it right up there, okay? And we'll reload. And now you see we have no label here, but there's a label up here. If I click that label, you notice how that button got clicked? So it doesn't matter where on the page I put the label. That label is connected to that radio button. And boy, wherever I put it, that label is going to make sure that if it gets clicked, the click goes to that particular radio button. Now this would mean that we could do some kind of unkind things, like something like this, right? And I could take this here and put it down here. Okay. Now you see what I've done? If I come over here and reload, it says button 3 here and it says button 1 here. But look what happens when if I click button 2, it goes where I expect. I come up and click button 3. Uh-oh, it didn't go here, it went here. And why did it do that? Because this label says that it is for the thing that has that ID, and the thing that has that ID is this input element that gives us a radio button. So it will always be faithful to the thing that it is attached to via its for attribute. So if we just put things back the way they ought to be, and I'm going to put this here, and then I'm going to take the label for 1 and put it back up here. All right, assuming nothing bad happened when I was doing that, Ah, yes, the world is back in order. It all makes sense. And that's how you use labels. And we often use labels with radio buttons because um, it makes it easier to click the button. You don't have to hit that tiny little spot. You can hit the text associated with it as well.